Last week at this time, we were, wind chill was 11 degrees below zero. Normal temperature was 5 or 6, something like that. Wind was crazy. We were like that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning was still very cold. But look at what it did to the green field here at my house. And it did it to all of them. It looks like it's been sprayed by Roundup. It burned it down. Yeah, I mean, it burned everything down. Even the weeds, like, you hear that crunchy, like these weeds right here, it even burnt them. It didn't kill it. I mean, it killed what was on top, which is fine. So it'll have new tender growth coming back on. Get the chipper in the shop. So before I service this thing, 2 jobs ago, I was chipping with this dude, and the winch line stays connected right here on that, and I was feeding it, and I had a limb hang my grapple, and what it did was I couldn't get my grapple no matter what I did, it was feeding it to it. And y'all, these chippers, the power, the torque that they've got on those feed wheels is no joke. But anyhow, so I had my grapple open and it's coming to it right here. So the grapple actually come into this area right here, and what it did was the grapple tone on this side hit the winch line and put force on it right there. And when it did that, then I don't know if it messed something up in the winch or what it did, or if it bent something over there. So everything that I just talked about with the grapple, that's not why the winch is not working. Stay tuned and watch as I figured out what the problem was with it. It's actually pretty cool. So like I said, stay tuned. On the lock mechanism over there where you engage and disengage it over there. But what it's doing is when you go to run the winch, it won't run. You can hear this loading up, oil's bypassing, and back through the valve over there, you know, it's just loading on is all it's doing, and it won't turn. So what I did to start off with was I pulled the motor off of it here just to kind of look up in there. This is the keyed gear that goes on the motor shaft right there. This is obviously the brake side, because there's the brakes in there on it. You can take and pull the line out on it. You can pull it out, and it's a little bit harder to pull out. Those are all the springs that go in these holes right here. Well, what I was going to do was I was going to crank the machine up and run the motor right here. But this is going to be your brake line, so that when you send pressure to it, it sends oil out of here to right there to release the brakes, and then everything turns. So with this undone, I was going to check this motor here first, but with this undone, the shaft will not turn because the pressure just comes out right here. So and I don't have a cat to go in there. I may run and go grab one real quick, but this part right here is actually no problem to pull off and take apart. So my next step is going to go over there on the other side and pull the locking mechanism out on that and kind of see what's going on. But I'm going to put this back together first, just see if by chance, whatever, you know, me taking it apart may get it to work. But so I had never thought about it. I've had it hang my grapple before, but I've been able to get my grapple out before it ever even got close to the back of the chipper right here. But this time it didn't. I was chipping up some water oak, and those limbs are just really bad. This one's got the Ramsey. It's 8,000 pound hydraulic winch on it. I was just pondering on something. While I'm right here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the brake side of it. All it's got is these two. It's got a keeper ring right there, and then one on the inside. I'll pull this out and pull those brakes out. I'm just going to go ahead and pull them out and just look at the stack on, see what they look like real quick, and that way I'll at least have that eliminated too before I stick this back on and end up pulling it back apart again. We'll see what she looks like. All right, I'm gonna show y'all where I'm at. This may not have been anything that I done, and here's what I'm thinking. Here's the brake washers in it. It's had some moisture in it right there, and you see the rust. I never used this winch. It's probably been probably over a year since I used it, and these first couple are loose, and then these bottom ones, these are all stuck, the bottom 4, and I may have knocked these front 2 loose whenever I was pulling it out right there too. They may have been stuck, but see, that's all they are. They're kind of like a clutch, so to speak. These right here are all stuck together, and you can see right there. So I bet you money that if I pop these things apart and I put them things back in there, I bet you about any amount of money that that the winch will work. And then that's what we're fixing to do, is pop them apart. I'm gonna take some brake cleaner. Interesting, it's real simple. I mean, ain't really much to it. I'll show you what it looks like on the inside of it there. So there it is. That shaft goes all the way across to the side. So let's clean it up. You can see a bunch of the debris in there. And right there's the port for the brake release. Right there where it comes in from that. So let's check it out and see if that'll work or not. Let me tell y'all what, there's no doubt in my mind this is a problem. I like to have never got these things unstuck. What I'll do from now on is every now and then I'll take and pull the winch line out and I'll run it. All right, I got her back together. That was quite a challenge to line all them brakes up, and then the shaft in there too. That was not very easy. And then getting these 2 pieces in. This piece right here, there's a second piece in there. It's O-ring seal. It goes in first, and then this is the oil is in between those 2 right there. So now I'm about to stick the springs back in it and then put the motor back on it. We're gonna fire her up and see if she works or not. So it's back working. I'm gonna end up having to put some clutches in this thing. That's what I'm gonna have to do. So the moisture, all right, this part here is all O-ring. Those 2 plates that go in there, they're both O-ring sealed, and they're sitting right there. So somehow or another the moisture was getting in through there. I know it's not getting in through here, because again, that's O-ring sealed over there. Actually 2 things that are O-ring sealed that sit between where that port line goes in, which will be about right there. So that son of a gun's probably let water in whatever seals on this drum where it goes in there. That's probably how it got in, unless these bolts are threaded all the way through. I'm gonna check that too just to see, but we'll see. I'll show you here. All right, it's working now. After I run it 2 or 3 times, got it kind of freed up. Let's see. Yeah, all right, that may have just been all it needed was to be run. What I'm gonna do now, since this happened, is every now and then, about once a month or so, I'm going to run this thing, this winch. Sure will. To keep that from happening. I didn't think about that, but yeah, I'll fix it up. So it wasn't what I thought happened to it then. Again, the thing's pretty simple. I gotta take all this stuff off here. I left those in there. Dang paint, man, on this stuff so thick. I actually had to take a buffer and knock some of the paint off that where I can get a wrench to even fit on it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this motor back off and reseal this right here so no water gets in there. We'll get that done, and I'm gonna run this thing. I'm gonna pull all the line off of it and hook it to something and maybe pull some weight and run it all the way in. But I sure thought for a minute there that something had hit, because I hadn't run it none or anything. It's been a while. Yeah. Oh yeah. Alrighty. Alright, I just pulled these two out, and they're not threaded all the way through. I didn't figure they would be. They're about right there where I get the top of my thumb. They stop right there. So that moisture that was coming in is going to be coming in from whatever seal is on the inside of this where it goes in. That's where it's going to be coming in from. So what I'll do to alleviate that is every now and then I'll take and I'll pull the winch line out and run it back in, and that'll keep that crap from happening again. Like I said, I've used this winch just a handful of times. I used it on the very first job, ironically, that I got the machine on, because it wasn't actually my job. It was a job that Hunter had picked up, and they wanted to chip it, so I chipped it, and I didn't have the mini there or nothing. We just had this, and we drug all the brush to the chipper with the winch, and then me and Chris used this thing, I believe it was October of 21, and that's going to be about the last time this winch was running. And so it's just been sitting. And then the other day, the way this thing works is this plate right here, it pivots like this, and it's on a switch. When this plate is out, so like the winch line right now is tight. You see there's a yellow light up there on it. If you got this machine running wide open and the feed wheels are running, their feed wheels are not going to run right now with it at an idle. You have to bring it up to 3/4 throttle or better, and then the feed wheels engage. So when you release the winch and you pull it out and this piece pivots forward, it cuts that yellow light on. I'll show you here in just a minute. And when it cuts that yellow light on, it disengages the oil flow going to the feed wheels, and the feed wheels stop. That way the feed wheels are not sitting there turning while you're messing with the winch, because that would be bad juju. That's actually a great safety feature. So to make the feed wheels work, you have to suck the winch line in that trips this sensor right here that turns that light off. So I'll show you. The light turns on. Let's see. I'll do this one-handed. All right, so that's disengaged. The light is still off right now. When I pull this, the light's gonna come on. See it? It's on. All right. So that disengages the feed wheels on it. They do have an override on it. If you're pulling big stuff and you're trying to get it in there, you can push this forward and work this to get a butt of something in there, and it'll turn those feed wheels a few inches just to grab it, but not pull it into the chipper. So you take the yellow light still on. I'm gonna pull it till it locks. It's locked there now on it. You have to pull it out till it goes back to where it locks. So the light's on. I'm gonna stand right here and I'm gonna hit the winch lever. And when this thing pulls tight, I'll show you right here. I can do it by hand. See, it turns it off. So when this thing pulls up there and pulls against it, it'll turn it off. Alright, so she's done. Now, if you've got a stick in there and you've got this going forward and it's really wide open, you better make sure that there's nobody that's in the top or anything like that, because if you winch that thing up and that light turns off, those feed wheels automatically engage once that light turns off. If you got this in gear, and you better look out, because she's finna start eating just immediately. And again, those things have got so much power, it's unbelievable what they'll pull. It's just crazy. But I'm glad to get that figured out right there. And that makes me feel better that it wasn't anything that, because I thought that when the grapple hit and pushed into this right here, that it had damaged something inside that winch right there. It just kind of, you know, coincided to happen like that. So that's a good thing. But yeah, man, always learning, always learning. And this might help somebody else, man, if they got a winch that's not working, whatever. It's just them gonna be them clutches in there. You know, if you hit it and it loads it up and it just, you hear the oil bypassing, that's all it's gonna be, is that. Anytime you got these things running, you really need to have the clutch engaged on it and let it go. I've actually got a bolt out right there. I got one I've put in it. Just gotta get the broke piece out of it. This thing's violent, y'all. I don't see how it holds together. I mean, this thing is just, I wish everybody could stand beside this thing while it's running. It ain't no joke, man.